Hi everyone.
Hi.
Today we are going to do a Q&A. So we asked in YouTube what you guys wanted to see, and a couple of people said a Q&A.
Yes, so we have lots of questions from our patrons, from YouTube subscribers, from our Instagram followers. So first of all, we just wanted to say we would really appreciate it if you would give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. It's an awesome way of being able to support us that is free for you, and it makes a big difference to us.
Subscribe to our channel. We are this close to 7,000. If you like our videos and you're not subscribed, please subscribe so we can get there.
Okay, so we're going to start with the questions from our patrons, because I don't know how many we're going to get through, and we want to make sure we do these. So Casey asked a few questions. We know what Erica did and now does for a profession, but have you ever said what Dan does? In general, no details.
Okay, so I am an audiometrist. I've done it for 10 years, and what that means is I am hearing related. So I test people's hearing, fit them with hearing aids, and everything associated with that.
Yeah, so like an optometrist, but
for ears.
Okay, Casey also said, what are both favorite keto meal of all time? This is so hard.
That is really hard. If there's one that I come back to all the time, like just wanting, is our keto chili. I love it.
Okay, I thought you would have said burgers for sure.
I can have burgers anytime. I just feel like if Erica said to me right now, what would I like for dinner, it would be that chili.
Okay. I thought, I don't know if it's just because we haven't had cheese for so long because we're at the end of our reset, but cheese shell tacos. Now, we honestly haven't, I couldn't even tell you the last time. I don't think we've had them this year. But I just love the crunch, and then like the sour cream and like, you know, the chicken.
All the add-ons.
Coriander, of course. So yeah, cheese shell tacos. I think that would be my favorite.
We used to have them all the time. And we really haven't had them for ages, so that's a really good one.
Okay, now this last question from Casey, a bit more serious. What are your thoughts on the so-called dirty keto and the oversaturation of overly processed foods being marketed as keto?
I think they have their place, because I know for us they have helped us along in our journey, but I also feel like they are not something that you want to be eating every single day.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, in some ways it's good to see more keto products out there because more people are aware of keto and it's not so crazy.
And it kind of means it's a bit more mainstream. It's not mainstream, but
then you see things on restaurant menus and stuff like that. So it is useful. And if you're, you know, out and about, and it's good to be able to grab something that, you know, but at the same time, not everything labeled as keto is actually keto. And I guess for the last couple of months, we've been doing like a real clean eating version of keto, and we have noticed a difference in like our cravings and, you know, how we've been feeling. So I think, you know, limiting the processed foods is definitely ideal, and just using those products every now and then, not like a daily thing.
Yeah, I definitely think they have their place, but moderation, which I don't like that word, but just limiting them is also key, I think.
Okay, now Eleni asked a few questions. Where did you two meet?
Have we ever talked about that?
No, because it's like super embarrassing.
For some reason I feel like nervous about talking about that.
Well, first of all, when did we meet? 2006.
So July 2006 we met at, I don't even, it was called
like a
Lesbian Open House is what it was called.
It's like a social group.
Yeah, it was run every Tuesday. I was introduced to it from an ex, and Erica had just broken up from her ex, and we met and we've been together ever since. And that was 14 years ago.
Yeah, so I guess it was just like a social conversation. I mean, it sounds lame, but hey, it worked out okay for us.
It did. And lots of people have met there. Like lots of couples have met there.
We also met some of our close friends that we're still friends with.
Hello,
Jen.
Hello, Jen.
Okay, Eleni also said, whose idea was it to start Have Butter Will Travel?
say it was yours?
I'd say it was my idea because I had an Instagram account where I shared about my kind of like us starting on keto, and it was called Have Butter Will Travel. And I guess I've always been interested in food and food photography, so I kind of liked the aspect of that.
And when we moved to Melbourne, Erica had about a period of 3 months where it's a bit hard to explain, but she wasn't actually doing her job because her connection wasn't set up. And she started a food blog then. That nothing happened from it, but I think that sparked the interest.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
it was just a generic kind of food blog. There was no
specific.
Yeah, it hadn't
niche.
kind of niched down, and we hadn't started keto at that point.
Yeah.
And I think we spent a year kind of focusing on keto, and then you kind of come up with the idea to kind of do a keto food blog.
Yeah, and at the start we're like, we would never do videos. Like people had said to us about YouTube, we were like, oh my God, no, we could never do that. Now look at us. We don't care, we'll put it out there.
We like still are pretty kind of introverted, not
shy,
outgoing kind of people, but I think that's what people like, that we're kind of just regular people.
Okay, so Elena's next question, any other interest, hobbies apart from creating awesome recipes? I like that question. Not really.
I have always loved sport. So anything sport related, I really enjoy. It's probably waned a little bit with Erica because she doesn't like the sport as much. So I don't like, watch sport all weekend or anything like that. But I do enjoy watching the AFL. I do enjoy watching the Swans. And I played soccer for a really long time. I started when I was 5, and I played in like over 30s and stuff. So soccer was my passion, but I haven't played for about 10 years, since we moved to Newcastle the first time.
And we do like going to like live sporting things when we can. Probably my other kind of favorite, I don't know if you call it a hobby or an interest, is traveling. Like we absolutely love that. We love researching, planning trips, all of that, looking for deals. That's what I would spend my time doing. Got a lot of free time at the moment, guys, because there's not much happening on that front. But
does online shopping count as a hobby? I think that's Erica's hobby, online shopping.
How rude. Okay, next question from Eleni. Top of your still to get to place, country, city on your travel list?
Ooh, I think for me, there's a continent I haven't been to that Erica spent a fair bit of time on when she was younger, and that is Africa. I've never been. I would really, really love to go and do safaris and that kind of thing. And it's kind of been on our list and never kind of happened a couple of times. So probably Africa is mine.
I will say I have always wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands, but it also feels like one of those things that would never actually happen. But just like the wildlife and everything there seems like it's on steroids. So it's kind of like a far off dream, but we've never been to South America. So I'd love to go to Mexico as well. Yeah, so something like that. Okay, last one from Eleni, and then we'll move on to the YouTube comment. So, favorite place, country, city that you've been to?
Ooh, I need a bit of warning about that one. Okay, I love San Francisco for a lot of reasons. We got married there. We've been there a lot of times. So San Francisco is very, very high on my list. I also loved New York. I really loved when we went to New York. We only went there 2 years ago and we've been there twice now, but I really loved New York.
I'm a Libran, so I'm not good at just choosing one place. But we did really enjoy our time in Slovenia.
We did.
It is absolutely beautiful there. Like when we went for a swim in Lake Bled, that was like one of my favorite things of all time that we've done. So just, like the beautiful nature, but you've also got like the Mediterranean, you've got the Alps. It was a pretty awesome place and so small you can easily get around there quickly.
And it's Europe without massive amount of European tourists like Italy and Greece and Spain and France. It didn't have as many tourists as those places, I thought.
And pretty much everyone spoke English, which was pretty
very
awesome.
helpful. Even in random places, it was really good, yeah. Okay, we will now move on to some of the YouTube questions that we had. This one is from Mitch, and the question is there anything you dislike about the keto diet / lifestyle? I guess sometimes the restriction is hard. Like anytime you're on any form of diet, sometimes it is hard to restrict what you're eating and not want to just, go out with your family and have a regular meal. That's probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, and I guess particularly social occasions where you don't have any control, like going over to someone's house or going out for a meal when it's like Asian or something like that, it can be a little bit tricky. I guess also I don't like the kind of negative connotations
to keto.
Yeah, so like we don't necessarily always say that we're keto depending on who we're talking to, because some people can just have such negative view on it when they don't really know anything about it. And it's like, what could be wrong with eating like meats and vegetables? Yeah, so I guess the bad press.
Mitch had another question. Do you miss any non-keto foods?
Yes. I mean,
Definitely.
we're human.
Yeah, of course. What would you miss the most if you had to pick one food?
One
Like
food?
Real ice cream or something?
No, probably more like
Potato
something
chips or
bread
something.
related, because it's just not the same, like like a cinnamon roll or something
Or a
like
croissant
that.
or something.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, the keto version, there's no point to me because it's not the same.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, bread is, like, while there's many keto replacements for most things, I think a good pastry is really hard to come by. So I'd probably miss something like a nice buttery pastry or something
I thought
like
you'd
that.
say potato, like hot
Chips.
chips for sure.
Hot chips as well, but
We're definitely not those people that are like, oh, crappy
Never-
garbage, could
no.
never even think about it.
okay. Mitch has one more. Where will you travel to once life returns to some sort of normal again?
Probably not the US right at the moment,
Yeah.
even though we had a trip planned to the US and we're really sad because we've got lots of friends we would like to visit there.
Yeah, it's really hard to know where we will travel to next, because it's definitely going to hinge on where we're going to be allowed to travel to easily without a 2-week quarantine when we come back.
Definitely, if we can travel like in some sort of bubble situation with New Zealand or the South Pacific, we would 100% be keen to do that. I would love to go to like the Cook Islands or somewhere that, we haven't been before. We've been to Fiji and Vanuatu, but a bit further afield would be cool.
We also had a very, very rough plan to do Christmas in Europe next year.
2021.
I don't know whether that is a viable option, but that is possibly the next trip we will do, like a big overseas trip, if that is allowed to happen. Okay, Irene has asked, being on keto, I find that I really feel my best eating this way, but I also find that I give in and splurge every couple of weeks, especially around my monthly cycle. Do you also experience the ups and downs following keto?
I wouldn't say like we're 100% perfect all the time,
We're not.
if that's what you mean. We'll be the first to say that. Yeah, definitely. Like, we've been doing this for years now. There has certainly been ups and downs, and there's been a lot of downs this year, let me tell you.
I will say, yes, like Erica said, we are definitely not keto perfection here. But I will say when we eat less keto treats, we find it easier to be keto, if that makes sense. Like the cravings are less, so there's less desire to eat other stuff.
Yeah, so if you're finding it hard to stay on track, maybe reducing the amount of sweeteners that you have can help you want sweet stuff left. If it's sweet, maybe it's not sweet stuff. But I mean, I wouldn't beat yourself up. I think that's normal. But also, the more often it happens, the more difficult it is. So I don't know if that helps, but that's the answer.
Mons has said, would you say that your style of eating it now is more low carb than keto?
I wouldn't say that, because we test our ketones pretty regularly and we are generally always in ketosis, and that is the aim of a ketogenic diet. It might appear that we eat more vegetables now than some people deem as appropriate on a ketogenic diet, but I mean, the aim of the ketogenic diet is to be in ketosis, and we are. So
yeah, I think there's been a lot lately in the last, say, 12 to 18 months around keto versus low carb, the kind of focus being on keto is so much more stricter and low carb. To be honest, you can be eating low carb and be in ketosis and not identify as someone who is on a ketogenic diet. You could also be someone who identifies as being on a ketogenic diet and not always be in ketosis. Neither of those things really matter. For me, it matters around what works for you. We have some days that might be higher carb than others. We don't track, so I can't tell you for sure that we have a day that's 50 and then a day that's 10. Who knows? We just eat the food that we enjoy, and we test our ketones, and we have been doing that quite regularly over the last couple of months, and we're in ketosis. So I think that means we are more keto than low carb. Honestly, I think it means we're both, because you can be keto and low carb at the same time.
Yeah.
Carolyn has asked, which YouTube bloggers do we follow?
YouTube, we watch like a bit of YouTube. We have some travel
Favorites?
YouTubers that we really like. Flying the Nest, they are Australian travel YouTubers.
They're from Perth.
The Endless Adventure.
Yep.
Cara and Nate, so they're all pretty popular travel YouTubers.
Danger and Stacey.
Yeah, they're from New Zealand.
Yeah, so we've probably got 4 or 5 travel ones that we really like. And then there's a few keto ones that we also watch. We probably don't watch as many keto ones as people might think.
No.
We watch Keto Christina. Christina is a friend of ours. We love her. We watch all of her videos. We watch Keto Connect. We are not friends with them, but we would like to be. Shout out Keto Connect. I also like watching Highfalutin Low Carb. I love his concept of his videos because
I love him.
Yeah, I love Wes too. Yeah. So his concept is a lot of his videos are battles. They're not his recipes, and he finds the 2 best bread recipes, and he'll make them. He'll eat them, and then he will tell you his favorite. So I think his research is he just searches like the ones that come up in Google the highest. So
okay, I know this video has been long, but we just want to finish off the Instagram. These are the Instagram questions. So Katie said, what are your work lunch options? So you take a packed lunch every day?
I do. Usually it is either leftovers, leftovers from our recipe testing as well. So like soups and anything that can be frozen will usually end up being my lunch. We've been doing a few frittatas the last couple of weeks. The other thing that's a really easy go-to for me is like deli meat like salami or ham, some vegetables like cucumber, tomatoes, pickles, olives, that kind of thing. Usually some form of sauce like a mayo or something, and that's it. And I can prepare that in 5 minutes before I walk out the door, and I find that really easy.
Yeah, that is. And it can be boiled eggs, cheese, it can be anything, but just like a mixture of things. Otherwise, sometimes we'll do like egg and mayo or tuna and mayo, and just take some lettuce cups or seed crackers or something is a good option. But yeah, that's probably like the main things, is mainly leftovers, to be honest.
Yeah, there's probably just a rotation of 2 or 3 different options. Delivery.
So next Instagram question. Also, if you're not following us on Instagram,
Do
please
it.
go and follow us. That would be great. Fiona said, have you both kept your weight off that you lost, and do you find it hard?
Yes and yes for me. So I've mostly kept it off. During the first kind of lockdown, things went up, and with the reset, they've come back down again. So I'm usually sitting between around about 75 kilos, and that can fluctuate, but for me that's my maintenance level. I know if I want to push to get under 70, I do not feel well and I can't keep it there. So I know for me about 75 kilos is my happy place, but it is hard. I find maintenance difficult because I slip into a mentality of I can get away with this to a point. So sometimes, yes, maintaining it down at that 75 is difficult, but I know I feel good when I'm there.
For me, no, I haven't kept all the weight off that I lost, which, you know, is mortifying to me. But also is nothing to do with keto or low carb. It's to do with my emotional and mental state, which I am working on, and I know is going to be like a lifelong process for me. So I try not to, you know, focus on the negative things, and I'm just focusing on the positive, you know, progress that I'm making. And, you know, I've had a setback, and that's okay. As far as maintaining, well, I mean, I did maintain my weight loss for a long period of time, and then I've put a bit of weight back on. But yeah, I think weight loss, it's all hard. There's never going to be a point where you don't have to worry about it at all. Nope. That's just life. And I think if you accept that that's the case, it's going to make life easier for you, because it's not going to be you get to a point and it's all over. You're still the same person. If you had problems like I do, they're still going to be there no matter what way you are. Bites of Canberra, I like your Instagram handle.
That's good.
Worst keto food or meal you've ever had?
Oh my goodness.
It's probably something that I've ballsed up, some sort of recipe testing gone wrong.
No,
or eating out.
I can tell you that broth cookie wasn't the best thing I've ever eaten. People eat that, but wasn't.
I'm trying to think if we've eaten out somewhere and just like they've really missed the mark on. You know, sometimes you ask for things to be removed and you just end up with a lonely poached egg on a plate or something.
That doesn't mean that it's been like the worst food you've ever eaten.
I know, but it's just so disappointing.
What would you say is the worst? I mean, there's a couple of times with the recipe testing where things don't go well, and I can't even remember what they were, but then I'm eating it for the next 5 days because we don't want to waste food.
That's Dan's packed lunch.
So sometimes my packed lunch is failed recipe tests.
Sorry, the
We've gone longer than half an hour.
The memory card was full. So, yeah, I can't think of anything specific. I'm sure there has been, but nothing jumps to mind.
There's been a few things we've tasted on camera that haven't been great. Like there's been that peak chocolate. I didn't like that. But nothing super like stand out.
Mm-hmm. So on Instagram, Low Carb Mama said, what organic foods do you eat and recommend? It depends.
That's hard. We would try and choose organic if we can, but it's not a focus.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of price dependent, because if the organic option is way more expensive than the regular option, we'll just choose the regular option because you know, it's not our main focus. We do try and buy our fruit and vegetables from the farmers market, although they're not necessarily organic. You know, hopefully they're
cleaner,
better than the supermarket options.
They're fresher. They're just fresher straight away because they
Yeah.
haven't been sitting in cold storage for a period of time. They've literally picked them and taken them to the market.
With meat and eggs, we try and focus on like pasture-raised eggs or pork or grass-fed beef rather than organic, because organic can still be that they're fed grains. So that's what we look for. We're not super fanatic about it, but if there is an option that
we're conscious of it,
we're conscious of it. And I think a good thing to do if you're worried about it is there's like a clean 15, dirty dozen. So there's if you just Google that, it'll tell you which things you should be buying organic. I think that's the dirty dozen, and then the clean 15 is things that you don't need to. So things in skins like avocados, because it's got that skin that you don't eat, it's fine not to buy an organic one.
But like a blueberry.
Strawberries, blueberries, tomatoes, those type of things that don't have a hard skin and that you eat all of it, So check that out if you're interested.
The clean 15 and the dirty dozen made me think of another YouTube channel I do like to watch, which is Flav City. He talks about that a lot.
We love Bobby.
We love Bobby. So that's another one if you are still watching and want to know about the YouTube channel.
We cannot watch all of his videos.
He does a lot.
Because he does a lot of videos. So we watch maybe one a week. Okay, last question. Thank you everyone who's still hanging in here. Joe asked, please give me your best morning keto coffee recipe. I love my coffee.
I'm out. I drink tea.
This is probably going to be a bit disappointing. I don't have an awesome keto coffee recipe. At the moment, I've just been using like a couple of shots of coffee, and I froth up some of my homemade nut milk, and that's it. Before we were doing the clean and simple reset, when I was having dairy, I would have some boiling water, a couple of shots of coffee and a splash of cream, which was yummy. But there's so many different coffee creamers, collagens, everything you can buy. If you like having your coffee sweet, there's heaps of options out there. I will say though, I haven't had this in ages, but I do make a really yummy mocha.
You do, yeah.
Which is like a couple of shots of coffee, some cacao powder, coconut butter, coconut oil, and kind of whiz it up and it goes all creamy and frothy. A bit of sweetener as well. So I'll link the recipe for that down below, because that is really nice if you like a mocha. I guess it's been good for me. Like, I haven't sweetened my coffee for a long time now.
And you did slip into a habit of doing that almost without thinking about it a while ago.
Yeah, so it has been nice that, I don't need to sweeten my coffee now. And yeah, I think that's a good habit to work towards. But yeah, sorry, Joe, no secret coffee recipes here.
Okay, that's the question. So hopefully you have enjoyed watching our Q&A, learning a little bit more about us, our keto lifestyle, but also about our personal life. We would be happy to do this again. So if you want us to do another Q&A, pop it in the comments below. Pop your questions in the comments below, and we will film another one of these, because it's kind of been fun.
It has been fun. Thank you so much to everyone who asked the questions. And
make sure, thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye.